Hey guys, my name is Matumio, and today I went back and played some Ghost Recon Phantoms. I didn't just do this out of the blue. I noticed that the developers had a massive patch, almost to the point where they completely overhauled the way that the mechanics work, and I wanted to find out for myself if this improved the game at all, and if it solved a lot of the problems that I had with the title. Now, one of my largest critiques of the game a couple of months ago is that for the first 7 hours, it is fantastic. Like, the gameplay feels fair. You're going against newer players that all are using around the same gear. They're all using basically the same weapons, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Like, it felt like it was on a level playing field. But after that 7 hours, and you got bumped up into the veteran bracket, now you're going against people that admittedly are better than you. They've been playing the game for probably years before you, so they have better skills. They understand the maps a lot better than you do, but their weapons are inherently better. The way that the developers went about the progression system is that every time you unlock a higher tier weapon, it is going to have better stats than the weapon that you were previously using at the lower tier. And so if you just got out of the beginner bracket and you were using only a tier 2 assault rifle and you're going toe-to-toe with someone who is using a tier 6 assault rifle, their weapon is going to hit harder, they're going to have to deal with less recoil, their weapon is going to reload faster, and they're just going to mop the floor with you. You're at an inherent disadvantage just simply because of the way that the progression system worked. And so when I jumped out of the beginner bracket, I had a lot of fun, but then I just hit this massive paywall where the game felt like either I had to spend an incredible amount of time grind out the in-game currency and just get slapped around by players that have these amazing weapons, or put down a pretty penny and just unlock the guns with the real world money. And that was a big turnoff for me. That was the biggest thing that turned me off from Ghost Recon Phantoms, because while I understand the developers need to pay their bills, they need to, buy food for their family, when it feels a little bit too pay to win, it just rubs me the wrong way. And so with this recent update, one of the ways that they've tried to alleviate this problem is simply just rewarding players more points for doing in-game actions. Like after every single round, I think you just get simply more points, but also when you level up, you get more of the in-game currency, a lot more of the in-game currency. And the result of this is that once you get out of the beginner bracket, you have enough points to buy at least one high tier weapon. You're not going to be able to buy like the tier 6, or I think it goes all the way up to tier 7. That's still going to take you a significant amount of time to get to that point, but at least you can buy like a tier 3 or tier 4, and so when you jump into the veteran bracket and you start to go against some of these veterans, you're not at this inherent disadvantage, and you at least have a fighting chance and can enjoy the game for what it is. And so at least for me, that simple small tweak has made a massive difference in my enjoyment of Ghost Recon Phantoms. Not only that, but with this big patch update, the developers have tried to make the game a hell of a lot more fast-paced. So across the board, everything has been increased in speed. You're going to run faster, you're going to reload faster, your big beefy class-specific cooldowns aren't going to take as long for them to get back up and running, and the result of this, and what they're trying to do, is make the gameplay a little less static. Before this update, there wasn't much of an incentive for you to run out in the open or try to make a play on the enemy. Like, unless you had one of your big class abilities up, like the big bubble shield if you're playing as the support class, or stealth as the recon, if you didn't have one of those class abilities up and running, or one of your buddies didn't, there was almost no incentive for you to try to push up on an objective, because the enemy was going to be hunkered down, they were going to be behind cover, and as soon as you ran out in the open, they were going to be able to quickly take you out. Not only did you not sprint as fast before this update, so you had to be out in the open for longer, but after you started sprinting, there was this mechanic where you had to wait a good 1.5 seconds, or even think like 2 seconds for some guns, before you could even take an action and start to fire your weapon. And so if you were trying to make a play on the enemy, you knew that they weren't looking directly at you, you try to sprint around the corner and take them out, you're gonna have to wait a good couple of seconds before you can even fire your weapon, and if the enemy has any general idea of what's going on, they're gonna quickly realize that you're there. You may have gotten the drop on them, because of the way the mechanics worked back before this update. You were a sitting duck for that good 2 seconds, and they could immediately take you out. So there wasn't much of an incentive for you to push up on an objective, or at least not if you didn't have one of your massive cooldowns. And so the result of this is that the game is simply more fast-paced, and there's going to be more action, and it's going to reward you for making those aggressive moves. And if you are successful in flanking around and getting a nice, a nice little maneuver off, you are going to be rewarded for it, and there isn't going to be as much of a hindrance as it was before. That being said, though, I know that this has been a little controversial amongst the community, or the veterans of Ghost Recon Phantoms, because this is a massive deviation from what the gameplay was all about before. Like I mentioned, there was a lot more emphasis on than team-oriented gameplay. You had to work with your squad mates, you had to wait for their cooldowns to come up, because if you didn't take advantage of their cooldowns and push up on an objective once they were using them, your team was going to have a hard time winning that round. And while there still is team-oriented gameplay here, like there were some moments when I popped my bubble shield when I was playing as the support class, everyone rallied around me, we were able to clear off the objective, and that was the reason why we won that round. It was amazing when it happened. Like it was fantastic, but it is going to be more fast-paced, and it is a deviation from what a lot of veterans have come to know and love from Ghost Recon Phantoms. My one critique though with this update is that they may have gone a little bit too far with the cooldown reduction on the class abilities. It's almost to the point now where every time you get in a firefight with someone, they're gonna pop their class ability. Like why wouldn't you? Like why wouldn't you stealth as the Recon? Why wouldn't you pop the suppression tool as you're playing as the assault class? Because it gives you an inherent advantage over your enemy. Like these abilities are supposed to be incredibly powerful. They're gonna give you the edge if the enemy isn't using one of their own. And because they've reduced the cooldown to the point where you can almost pop them every couple of minutes, if you die, once you get back into the action, it's up and running, and so there's almost no incentive for you not to save it for a key opportunity. It's like, yeah, I have my ability up, I'm gonna pop it, I'm gonna push up onto the objective, and hopefully take it for my team. And it's almost to the point now where it's a little bit too ridiculous, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they adjust it so that they extended the cooldown a little bit further, because right now there were some moments where it just felt like I was more fighting against their abilities than having a first-person shooter experience. And so that was my one biggest critique from this patch. But yeah, that is about it for today's video. I just wanted to keep you informed as to what is going on with this title, because if you remember, or maybe you didn't even watch it, in my past Ghost Recon video, I mentioned that I wasn't too much of a fan of the whole pay to win. Like I said, once I got out of the beginner bracket, I felt like I hit this pay to win wall, and it was a massive turnoff for me. But now with this update, and now with all of these changes, it's safe to say, at least from my perspective, at least from my gaming background, that I enjoy the game a hell of a lot more, and I just wanted to keep you informed as to, you know, what's going on with this title. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.